All right, so everyone can see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. So today we'll be discussing a little bit about Jewish history, exploring Israel through the lens of the Six-Day War of 1967. So some things might be a little bit repetitious, so we'll try to stay off anything that's repetitious and focus on the new ideas. Um, but before that, I last night at about midnight, I interviewed um, an Israeli soldier in the IDF who's also a rabbi in Hebron. So it's a very interesting interview, and we're gonna play that for you now. Okay, thank you, Reb Mordechai Hellinger, for joining us today, Israeli time, tonight, American time. Um, so, uh, before we start, Mordechai, can you tell us about yourself to understand your Chabad Shliach in Hebron, as well as part of the IDF on reserves? So, can you please tell me a little bit about that?
Okay, so first of all, let's go back. I came here to the land of Israel as a yeshiva student, and after finishing my studies in Kiryat Gat, I came and joined the Chabad of Hebron team. And my position then was a Chabad runner, as we call it. I would go around all night to the soldiers here and get coffee, cookies, and really just to be there to cheer up take care of their body and soul. And till about 10 o'clock in the morning, nap a bit, and then take care of them with tefillin, Torah, barbecues, pizza parties. After over a year of doing this fun, exciting schedule, I went on vacation to join the army. I was a sergeant in the Golani Infantry Brigade, finished my service there, and then I continued my work with Chabad. And as part of the reserves, my reserve unit is the Judean Battalion. So we stay local with any type of situation that were to arise. We know the area best, so this is what we do as well. So now I'm with the Chabad House and taking care of security measures that needed to be done.
Okay, for those who don't know what the Golani Brigade is, can you tell me a little bit about that?
So, everybody will tell you this, but Golani is, everybody will tell you this about their own unit. But Golani is one of the most prestigious infantry brigades in the IDF. I have taken a serious part in every one of the wars, including this war. Unfortunately, my unit got very, very badly hit on that Shabbat morning, but they sprung back, and now they're in Gaza, and we're praying for them every day.
Oh wow! So Golani just means there's more training. There's more.
It's one of the more intensive infantry units out of the 5 main infantry units, but all of the infantry and the entire army really are all doing a phenomenal job, doing their best to protect the Jewish people.
Got it. So okay, so let's go right into. You said that that Shabbos morning. So you said your unit was hit. Where were you? What was the situation?
So that's what my regular unit. I've been out of the army for quite some time, and I was on my way to pray Shabbat morning. For those of you who maybe are not familiar, outside of the land of Israel, holidays are kept 2 days. Here it's kept 1 day. So that Shabbat morning was Simchat Torah. I was with my 2 older boys. We were walking on the way to the Ma'arat Machpelah, the resting place of the Cave of the Patriarchs, the resting place of our mothers and fathers. And as I'm a minute away from my house on the walk, I had some goodies for the kids that would come to dance with the Torah. My friend pulls up next to me and says, Mordechai, turn around, go back home, get on your uniform, and grab your gear and run. I was taken aback for a second. He says, Yalla, wartime, let's go. So I right away grabbed my things and called my commander and hopped into the car Shabbat morning, but this is what has to be done. And I was right away sent to one of the guard posts here to give reinforcements because, we're always afraid that, God forbid, something can happen here as well. And ever since then, been dressed in this uniform. And it was a very surreal, intensive time just to sit there and think of, this is what the Yom Kippur War must have looked like. And I was there for many hours. I actually, before I went, I managed to grab some grape juice and some challah. I'd be able to make kiddush there. And it was just sitting there and thinking, now what? It's a very, very tough thing to think about. And popped into my head a song that was composed by A.B. Rottenberg about a man from Vilna that after the Holocaust goes back to Vilna, and everybody somehow converges onto the synagogue, and they show up, and somebody says, tonight is Simchat Torah, and they go to open up the ark, and there's nothing there, and the synagogue is completely destroyed and ruined. And the chorus is, we danced around in circles as if the world has done no wrong. And that was for me in my head, this is what it's all about, and we have to continue, because Am Yisrael Chai is not something that we just say, it's something that we live by. So after many hours on guard duty, I got a bit of a break, and I went home, and for my family and kids, and obviously we didn't know the scope of the atrocities that happened that morning. And I said to the kids, all right, now it's time to dance, because this is what God wants of us. And my little boy went to his neighbor and borrowed his toy Sefer Torah, and we did hakafot. We danced with the Torah around my dining room table. And that has really been the message that I tell to myself, and also try to inspire others ever since then, that we have to continue on. We have to, we can't let them take us down. And unfortunately, atrocities like this, unfathomable that it would happen in our generation, but we can't let them destroy our spirit.
Right. So you have your army gear at home. That's where you ran to go get it.
So I have some of the gear at home. Some of them I had to pick up at a local office. But yeah, meaning we're here ready to go hit the ground rolling.
Right. And then you personally had any encounters with anyone, or during those hours with any, terrorists? There was no one in your area, I'm assuming.
There were local jihadis that tried to get involved, and the soldiers here showed them very quickly that this is not going to happen.
Wow. Okay. And so you mentioned there's people in your unit who you knew who were hit. So these are people you knew personally, and
so I've been out of the army for a regular service for quite a while. So there are some of the people that I know there. Friends of mine, their children were killed. Actually somebody who was here as a volunteer, like I was, a Chabad runner. He is now a pretty high up officer in the army, and he, with his soldiers, personally eliminated tens of terrorists, and he himself was shot multiple times. And thank God he's doing all right. And a friend of mine here, so I'm also part of an anti-terror first responder team, and that's the reason why much of the gear is at my home. So one of our officers here, he is direct, in reserves. He's head of a medical under fire evacuation unit. And the second that he heard of things, he went straight down south. He picked up literally 3-4 of his friends, and he went in and he managed to save over 150 people, eliminated tens of terrorists. And, Moshe, when he was asked about, my friend, when he was asked about, how many terrorists did you eliminate? He says, I don't focus on that. I focus on how many lives we saved. And thank God it was many. It was very surreal almost that somebody sent over a bit of donations of, Camelback water backpacks. And he says, Mordechai, I need a new one. Mine was shot. So, it's real. It's close to home. And we have to do our best to protect the physical well-being, and also to keep our spirits high.
Right. So I can imagine that puts you in an interesting position, because on the one hand, you're a rabbi, on the other hand, you're a friend, and on the other hand, you're also a soldier in the army. So what was your feelings and how to approach the families? Were you giving them chizuk, and what was your heart?
So the Rebbe always made us soldiers, starting from, as a child, we had Tzivot Hashem, we're in the army of Hashem, and to being a yeshiva student, we're called the soldiers of the house of David. And obviously the shluchim, us emissaries. And especially when you're, in this side of the army as well, you realize that a mission is a mission, and you can't pay attention to the outside noise, as we call it, Rashi Reka. And we just have to do what we have to do, no matter where we are, how we are, and to be on the offensive, both in tactical, but also in good spirits, and keeping hopes high. And to have people reaching out to me from around the world that are nervous and afraid and saddened and depressed, and that's something that we have to convey from here, that no, Am Yisrael Chai is real, is raw. For me to be able to go and stand guard duty and the patrols that happen here and all the other things that happen here, but to be able to turn around and see the kids running and playing the streets as if there's nothing going on, that is the true victory. So that's what we're all trying to do, and we're all here encouraging each other, each in their own way. And obviously with the in times like this, there's a spiritual awakening as well, so we're trying to assist with everything on that front. And Jewish people are waking up.
Right. So you're still like serving as a rabbi while you're right now on duty, what I understand, right? You're right now at a watch post, correct? So you're also a rabbi at the same time, like giving that's what I'm understanding.
Yep. We have to do everything necessary. As every Chabad rabbi is a cook, a psychologist, a therapist, a rabbi, and everything else. Yeah.
Man with many hats all at the same time. All right. So I guess what would be a message that you'd have for people who I'm saying, how do you, first of all, for you yourself, how do you deal are you ever nervous or scared? And what would you tell people who are not in Israel, but in America, but we see the anti-Semitism on social media, and I see some people being scared, maybe even taking down a mezuzah or whatever, being scared to walk out with the kippah. What would be, how do you feel about this, because you're in the situation? And also, what would you tell to people who are maybe feeling a little nervous?
1 second here. I'm hitting a technical difficulty. 1 second here. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. So what I would say is, first of all, stay off social media. As one person put it so well, if you want to be nervous, scared, full of anxiety, depressed, read the news. If you want to be optimistic, excited, looking forward to the future, learn history. We got sacked in the face multiple times. It's unfortunately nothing new, and we wanted to believe that we would never see anything like this again. But here we are. And from every situation throughout history, the Jewish people came out stronger, more united than ever before, and that'll be the same thing now as well. It's not simple. It's not easy. 1 second here. Sorry. Sorry about that. So the idea of that we have to, we'll get through this stronger and better than ever before. And Am Yisrael Chai is really, it's something that we need to live by. It's something that we have to do. It's that's really the only answer that we have, and we can't buckle down to fear, because in the end of the day, that's what terrorists want. Terrorists want us to live in fear. But really, honestly, stay away from the awful loop of the news cycle. They don't report much good, and hold your heads high, because that's really what that's what we're all about, and that's what keeps us through, not just through this, but every hard time throughout history. And remember that we are here in the land of Israel protecting. And we know that our job here is not just to protect the people living here in the city of Hebron or in the land of Israel, but Jews worldwide. And we're happy, strong, and proud, and so should you be. And the Rebbe always, very often, used to speak about that soldiers off to battle go out with a march. War is a scary thing. It's not simple, it's not easy. But when you're sure that you're going to be victorious, you're proud and happy, and not only does that keep you from being depressed, it actually helps being victorious.
Okay, wow.
And to most importantly remember, let me just add that your being a proud Jew where you are gives us the strength here. We know that the Tefillin campaign, the Rebbe started ahead of the Six-Day War, quoting the verse that says, "All the nations of the world will see that the name of God is upon you, and they will fear you." And the Talmud asks, rightfully so, what does that mean? The name of God is upon you, and it says that this is the tefillin of the head. That by putting on tefillin, it causes our enemies to fear us. And honestly, for me, just getting the messages of people around the world who started putting on tefillin in honor of us over here. And I just got a message from somebody who they met I think it's about 95, 96-year-old who ran away from the ghetto, and he joined up with the partisans and he fought the Nazis, and he put on tefillin yesterday for the first time in honor of us here in the land of Israel. So it's really amazing. It's really awesome. And when you're strong as proud Jews where you are, wherever you may be, it gives us the strength here to continue up this fight.
Wow. It's very inspirational to hear it from you because you're on the front lines, and whatever strength that you're going with, it pours over to us because you're on the front lines. So it's just really amazing what you're doing. What would you suggest for women who are looking for something to do to show their Jewish pride?
So first and foremost, Shabbat candles. The most simplest, light. We need light in the world. We're in a dark time. We need light. We need to be proud Jews. And in the end of the day, we saw that unfortunately our enemies didn't care if it was the oldest of people or the youngest of babies. And we generally refer to the woman as the anchor of the home. So first of all, to stay optimistic, I can say just on a plain level, the kids feel it. They feel when people are nervous. We have to show them the proper way and instill Jewish pride from a young age. Just to be proud Jews, Shabbat candles, and all the other amazing mitzvot. Taking challah is a very, very, very special mitzvah that, as well, is brought down to have amazing powers and be miraculous. So do all those mitzvot and have us in mind, and spread more light, not empty. When after the Holocaust, there was an effort by some alliance of Jewish organizations in the United States that for the Pesach Seder, everybody should have an empty chair in memory of one of the victims of the Holocaust. And when they came to the Rebbe said, on the contrary, you should have an extra chair, but it should be full with another person. So spread light. A little bit of light shines up a very, very dark area. So really, the Shabbat candles and all the other amazing mitzvot, and tzedakah. Tzedakah is taking from something that you worked hard for and giving it to somebody else. It's about giving over from your hard efforts. So that's also an amazing mitzvah, and it says that tzedakah brings salvation to the Jewish people, and what better time than now to have it.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, we'll get back to also that tzedakah as well, how to support you. But I wanted to hear, you mentioned about social media. If you wouldn't mind sharing, I saw in your WhatsApp status about maybe a chlata that you made about social media. If you wouldn't mind sharing about that.
So on Rosh Hashanah, I made a resolution that no news, no social media, no anything, and it's a key to happiness. What can I tell you? A lot of times people feel like they have to be updated, they have to be in the know. There's not much, there's unfortunately the news doesn't start in the morning. Here in Israel, good morning. 9 million people woke up this morning and went to work without any problems, and they have food on their table, and kids were able to go to school. They always magnify, the negative, and it doesn't give much to society. And this is just on a practical, a psychological, emotional state. There's no need to be in the loop cycle. It almost is it's almost, you want to feel like you're doing something, but you don't feel like you have what to do. So you grab your algorithmically designed glass device and continue the endless scroll. It doesn't help much. And as you can see, I'm here in the front lines, and I'm fine. I get all the updates that I need without having to go through the endless loop of the news cycle.
That's pretty incredible because I feel like personally, like every minute I have to find out what is going on in Israel. and you're there on the front lines, and you don't feel the need to be on social media and to stay focused. And yeah, it's powerful, and it's very true. Um, I guess is there any inspirational specific stories that have happened with you in the IDF, the reserves, or um, I guess you mentioned the tefillin story with someone putting on tefillin, but any other stories that come up in your mind that kind of give motivation during these hard times a little bit?
Wow, just so many. Rabbi Shmuel Eliyahu, one of the leading rabbinical figures in Israel today, he was speaking to a group of soldiers, and he said, you know, when you go to synagogue and somebody gives 100 shekel donation, people are like, wow, that's very nice. And when somebody gives 1,000 shekels or 10,000 shekels, or somebody will get up and say, I'm giving 1,000,000 shekels to the community, people would be blown away. But when you have people here who are giving their most, they're giving their life, both ready to give it up, but even just in the day to day, you know, soldiers don't have morning, don't have night. And for them to be able to give up their life for others is the most amazing thing. And I have a guy with me who's in his 70s, and he's a combat soldier. I don't worry, I did training exercise with him. He's better than most. People who got on flights and came here to fight for the Jewish people is awesome and so inspiring.
Wow. Yeah, we personally know some people came from California as well, you know, who flew in all the way to help. So about charity, like what way can we support you? So right now you're running a synagogue. You're also, I understand, you're also supporting soldiers in your unit or something like that.
So our main focus in Chabad of Hebron generally, well, I deal with tourists a lot, but unfortunately we don't have much of that now. But as Chabad of Hebron is an organization, our focus is with the soldiers. So we're doing a lot to be there to support them emotionally, physically, and take care of various different needs that are needed. So I'm trying to help that. So that comes out, you know, to be some of the extra gear that's needed, or barbecues, or, you know, somebody missed their meal. We have meal vouchers. We also are doing efforts for what we call reservist families. So here in Kiryat Arba alone, we have about 250 families that the fathers are out in reserves, and so whether it be that, you know, the family can come pick up a meal voucher, that the mom knows that at least one meal is taken care of at one of the local restaurants, and that also supports the local economy, and many other efforts of that sort.
Wow. So that is something you're running. Okay, great. So if we want to support you, what is the best way? The link you sent me?
Yes, I can send you the link, and yeah, please spread and share. And it's amazing to feel how the Jewish people are united, and that is a way that you can help the guys on the ground here, and it gives the feeling that we're in this together, and it's very, very powerful.
Okay, wow. Thank you for your time and inspiration.
Sure.
You know, it's really we're here to support you 100%. We're here for you, mitzvahs for you, and donations to support you. And of course, if there's anything that you need, like on the spot emergency, please let us know right away, so that way we, you know, send it as soon as possible, the funds that are needed. So is there any, I guess, messages that you want to leave us off the Topanga community? We're next to LA, just giving you a little, we're like the Tzfas of California, just to put in
it's beautiful.
who we
Very
are.
mystical.
Yeah.
Keep your heads high, really. Yes, we got knocked down, but we're standing, and Am Yisrael Chai is not just something we say; it's something that we do. Be a proud Jew wherever you are. Remember, they're trying to destroy our spirit. We're not going to let them. We're going to bounce back stronger than ever before.
Wow. Okay. Hopefully, we should see only good news going forward. And
Amen.
you know, for you, your family, the soldiers that you're taking care of, your units, and every Jew in Eretz Yisrael. Thank you so much for your time, and tzlacha. Mashiach now.
All right, keep up the great work over there, and definitely, hopefully, we'll see you all here very soon. Mashiach.
All right. Thank you. All right. So that was the interview from last night. I was a little tired in an interview. It was the middle of the night, but it was a little inspirational. And if you have any feedback, feel free to send me a text and I could send it to him. And also, if you want to give any donations, he's in charge of the soldiers. So I put the link in the chat. In the chat box, you can see the link. It's charity.com/AMY Israel.
I just donated today to Chabad on both my kids. I mean, my kids are in their 30s, but they're college campuses. I'm so upset about what's going on in the schools. That was very inspirational. I mean, the idea that, because I feel like I'm here, but I'm not here. I'm in Israel, and it's like bizarre. I'll go to the store and go like, why is everyone smiling and that feeling? But what he just said about, enjoying and watching the kids play, and that's victory in a small part. He's right. It's quite,
Right. The campuses are definitely the hardest, though. It's a hard situation there. They just did a special Unity's webinar for all the college campus students. Where they got all these. You saw it?
Rabbi, did you accidentally, is that Charity D with a D, not T? Is that a misspelling?
It's Charity with a D. It's a company that
Oh,
they
okay,
do
okay,
fundraising.
okay.
So it's called Charity, and then that's their link.
Okay.
If you're right, support whoever you feel you want to support. It's just a suggestion.
No, that's the only thing that's making me feel good every day. I'll start feeling horrible. Make a donation, but okay.
Right.
Every day a little bit, because it's just, yeah. He really hit it on it, the feeling of like, not letting yourself get down and so on. Yeah.
Right. Gotta stay positive. So yeah, Joel, about that webinar, I was just gonna say it was for all the college campuses. They did a Unity webinar, which was a lot of Jewish celebrities speaking about Jewish pride. So, and you had the chief rabbi of Israel, and you had the president of Israel, and you had and then a lot of American celebrities in television and the Shark Tank, Jewish people all speaking out. So it was definitely very powerful. I can send you the link for that if you want to watch that.
Is that possible to see?
Yeah, I can send it to you. It's on YouTube. Yeah, it was a few days ago.
Oh, it wasn't recent. Okay, no. I'm watching to know what's happening recently. That's why I sent some contributions, because they said, what is it for? I said, I don't know, invite the kids over for coffee or whatever. It's just appalling to see what's happening on these campuses. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to see that. If you could send me the link.
Okay. I'll send you the link for that afterwards.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments about the soldier? Any messages before we should go on to the next part?
No, that was beautiful. Just quite incredible what he's doing.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go.
I wrote a note to the soldier you had last week. I CC'd you on it. I don't know if you got it.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah. I just felt like he made the effort. I just would write something.
Yeah, I saw the email you sent. It's very nice, and I'm sure when he gets the chance to read it, he'll be very happy that you sent it to him.
Yeah.
So, okay, next part. So, what's interesting is I actually decided to put this here was from what he mentioned was on that day of Simchat Torah, which was the day when the attacks happened, he felt like singing this song, which he said the words to, and I decided we should just play the chorus. That way you get the feeling. It's a very emotional song. Where it's basically talking about how after the Holocaust they come back to the synagogue and there's nothing there. It's knocked down synagogue and there's no Torahs, and their only hope was they found one child and they danced with the child as the Sefer Torah, because they said, this is what we're going to dance with. We're going to dance with the future, even though everything else is ruined. So it's just a very emotional song. So I just play the chorus.
He said he came from Vilna, a survivor I could tell. And I helped him with his suitcase, he could not walk very well. A steward gave us coffee as we settled on the plane. And I asked him why he bothers, at his age there'd be no blame. He said no simcha is a burden, though I miss my dear late wife. And then he shared with me a story that has changed my view of life. We danced round and round in circles, as if the world had done no wrong. From evening until morning, filling up the shul with song. Though we had no Sifrei Torah to clutch close to our hearts, in their place we held the future of a past so torn apart. I remember.
So that's just the chorus of the song, where you dance round and round in circles, and we, the children were our future. If you want, I can send you afterwards to listen to the whole song. All right. Let me see. Let's go to the next screen. Here we are. So, our connection to the land of Israel. Today we'll be exploring it through the eyes of the 6-Day War. Here, sorry. So the questions to address today, some of them we've covered in on the past webinars. So the ones that we've covered already, we'll just skip over it and we'll focus on the new things today. Is what place does Israel hold in Jewish life? Why do Jews need a homeland? And what claim do Jews have to the land of Israel? Okay, so if I would ask you these questions, anyone have any answers before we start, based on what your own knowledge or what we discussed so far?
Well, I mean, the Torah mentions Israel, I forgot how many times. It's just part of every single prayer. That would be how I'd answer the first one. The Jews need a homeland. That became pretty evident in the 1920s and 30s. No one else was accepting them. And what claim do Jews have to the land of Israel? I mean, we spoke about it last week. There's archaeological evidence that we were always there. And I mean, I could go on, but I'm making it fast and easy.
Okay, thank you, Mala, for that. Joel, anything you want to add to that?
So last night I heard an anti-Semitic comment that I glossed over, which was that, well, the Arabs were there before the Jews were. So it's really the Arabs' land. And I didn't respond to that because I didn't feel I was educated enough to give a good answer.
I have a great 15-minute video to pass to you. Rabbi, I'll pass to you, and then you can pass on. It's so filled with information, I can't even properly say it all, but I mean, that's completely wrong. We were always there. But anyway, I'll send that to you, Rabbi, and then you can.
That, and then you'll pass it on to me, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, that'll be interesting to watch.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Joel, what I would say to that would be 2 points. Of course, watch the video for additional points. Again, first of all, we have to define, is the person coming from a point of anti-Semitism or a valid question, right? That we discussed last time. If it's a valid question, then we should answer the question. And there's 2 answers to that. From a just a secular perspective, is that first of all, definitely the Jews were there first before, for thousands of years. So the Arabs were there in between. So it was the Jews, and then the Arabs, and the Jews. That's point number 1. And point number 2 is, just because you were there first doesn't mean anything, because the way acquisition works with conquering land is pretty much every piece of real estate land that you'll find, any country you'll find throughout the world, they were not the ones who were there since the beginning of creation. Any country you find, it has been replaced by other nations. Pretty much any country, America, you name it. It's not like a stolen object. It's not like stealing. Stealing, if I steal something from you, you have to return it. Land is called conquering, which is different than stealing. Once a certain amount of time passes, I don't know all the details, but that is the facts from you see clearly throughout history and across the world today.
No, that's a good answer.
That would be the secular answer. Then the spiritual answer would be that God gave it to the Jews.
They're not interested in hearing that.
Right. That is more that argument I would never use for someone who doesn't have respect for faith or Torah or religion or anything like that. It doesn't matter if they don't care about God, they won't care about what God did.
But Rabbi, how many times in our prayer books in the Torah, I read this figure and I just don't have a memory. Do we mention the name Israel within all our prayers? And then I saw that contrasted with the fact that it's never mentioned in the Quran. It's an integral part of our prayers.
Yeah.
Prayer.
Yeah, true. That we're going to discuss right now. All the points that you just brought up. We'll go through them. Where are all the points in Jewish consciousness that Israel is discussed? So first of all, let's go through all the lifetime events that when there's a Jewish wedding, glass is broken to remember the destruction of Jerusalem. That's why we break the glass by Jewish wedding. The next is when someone passes away. Unfortunately, the words we say to someone, to a family of someone who passed away, when they're sitting Shiva, we say, "May God console you amongst all the other mourners of Zion and Jerusalem." So throughout entire our life periods, all the important life periods, we mentioned Jerusalem. We Passover and Yom Kippur also we say next year in Jerusalem. The end of Yom Kippur, when we blow the shofar, we say next year in Jerusalem. As well, throughout the generations, Jewish people always made Aliyah. Aliyah means going up to Israel. Yemen in 1949, Georgia between 1969 and 1974, moving to Israel. In fact, people who didn't live in Israel still, big sages want to be buried in Israel. For example, Maimonides actually lived in Egypt, but he was buried in Tveria in Israel. Then you have Rabbi Yehuda Halevi, who was a big sage and poet. So he actually lived in Spain, and then towards the end of his life, he immigrated to Israel, and then he was buried in Israel. And it's a famous poem he wrote about "My heart is in the east," that he always longed for Israel. So then we mention it, like Mal was saying, we mention it definitely in prayers. You'll see it tons in the Shemona Esrei. We say about how we want to return to Zion, to Jerusalem. We mention it in after blessings whenever we eat about Jerusalem, about how we want to return. So it's definitely at the forefront of our mind, and it's all over. It's all over the Bible. So that's definitely why it's very important to us. Now we'll have a special video about the 1967 war, and we're going to discuss if anything changed between then and now. We're going to do a little analysis. Here we go. Let me share the video. See if I could share it. Whoops, that is not supposed to be playing. Let me see if this could be. Let's see. Share screen. Let's try this one more time. Oh, here. Let's see if this will work. All right, do you see the video, the screen?
Mm. Yeah, it's truncated on the right side.
Is it good now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
We're good?
Yep. Oh,
No
it's
sound.
really hard. This is hard to watch.
Is it supposed to have sound?
Are you able to hear?
No,
No, but I'm reading it. It's
Okay,
okay.
so let me see if I could try. Let's see if I could turn on the sound. See if I could. If not, we'll just kind of read through it and I'll share it with you after. Let's try one more time. Try one more time. Seems like it's not going to allow me to share the audio, so it's okay if we read it?
yes,
Yeah. How about your, yeah, okay. Mm. Them 2 minutes. Oh, just a minute, 2 minutes. Just wait till this is over.
Okay, so that was uh, the pre-states the Six-Day War, and then as we know, Israel did a preemptive strike and knocked down all their um, runways for their planes, and that's how they won the entire war in 6 days. Which, under international law, Israel wasn't really striking first. There was already a war had already started, and the fact that Egypt already blocked off the straits for Israel for the ships to come in. The question lies.
I have to go, but I
Okay.
apologize.
Okay, it's fine.
Thank you so much, and that was incredible to see the rhetoric and the words. I wrote down all the words that they were saying. It makes me feel better now because we're not hearing that kind of rhetoric. But anyway, I'll see you next week. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'll
Good
send you
night.
that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure,
Yeah,
no problem.
thanks, please. Yeah,
I'll send it tonight.
thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, Joel, should we finish off, or you got to go?
No, I don't have to go.
Okay, fine.
Very hard to watch this.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on that? Those are the statements that were going on before the 6-Day War about everyone's basically saying to destroy Israel entirely, and there wasn't really anyone. America was backing Israel to defend itself, but not to do what it went ahead and did. Not to give it the encouragement it needed to go and do a preemptive strike. So, what are your thoughts on, are we in a better situation today?
Well, number-wise, we are. We got 300,000 this time. And I think the people are certainly stronger as individuals and as a nation, including in the diaspora. I think political leaders are taking sides. I think it's different, but who knows what the outcome will be.
Right. So here's a short explanation of the differences between then and now. Maybe this will put it in perspective. So,
Right.
first of all, like what you said, is that the population of Israel is much bigger, and then was 2 million people, and now 7 million people. So we have a much larger army, and also the military. Our military is much better because we have now the Iron Dome for defense. We didn't have that back then. Then technology in Israel is much stronger, and that's why America kind of also needs Israel for the technology. And also Israel now, we have a few peace treaties, right? This is the famous peace treaty in 1978 with Egypt, and then we have now the Abraham Accords. So we do have some backing in regards to that. But there are some things that haven't changed since then. First of all, you still have people saying they want to entirely destroy Israel. The statements that we saw then, that there's these groups of people that want to say Israel should be entirely destroyed, that didn't change. You still have Hamas saying that. They want to destroy every single Jew, straight out. Another thing that's not changed is there is a big world opinion that is hostile to Jewish rights and Jewish existence. You have all these pro Hamas or whatever it is, boycott Israel, the BDS, these rallies. So we do have a lot of support for Israel, which that shouldn't be denied. We do have the support. But I don't think we have enough world support. The UN still not. President Biden, we have a support. It's hard to know. It seems like he's supporting Israel right now, so that's a good thing. If he's calling for a ceasefire, I don't know exactly what to make of all of it. But it seems like he's supporting Israel, which is good. But you still have within America all these hostile things. So the question is, what do we do about it? Living here in Topanga, that's the question. What is our response? What can we do? So what are your thoughts on that?
No, I'm all ears.
So I think the main thing is just being very clear on our knowledge and our conviction of the rights of Israel to us. This is what we discussed last time. Under its historical international law, Jewish survival. In a way, you could say it's almost like we have more rights to Israel than any other land has rights to their own land, right? In a way, it's almost more that Jews have the rights to Israel more than Americans have the right to America, because Americans have the right to America under international law, so you have that claim, international law, but Americans don't have the claim that we were here forever since the beginning of time. We don't have that claim. Israel belongs to the Jews under international law. And in addition to under international law is also we were here since the beginning of time. So you have a few, it's almost like more strong than any other country's claim to its own country is Israel's claims. And it's okay to have questions, and it's fine, but it almost becomes funny if you're only asking about Israel. If you ask about the Jewish people's rights to Israel, you have to ask about every other country's right to its own country as well, pretty much. Because Israel isn't less, the Jewish right to Israel isn't less, it's stronger than any other claim. And if you don't think it's 100%, which is a fair question to ask, you have to ask that about every other country. It's a fair question to ask, and I think we have a stronger response. What are your thoughts on that, Joel?
I'm just listening, learning, not thinking too much about it. I'm just trying to soak it in.
Okay. So I think this we went through this pretty much last time. This is the historical argument. You have all these archaeological findings, throughout the years of Israel. You have historical evidence of King David. You have historical evidence from the Second Temple. You have archaeological evidence. You have Queen of Bar Kokhba. We have the international law argument, the Balfour Declaration, 1917, followed by the British Mandate for Palestine in 1922, as well as Israel's admission into the UN, 1949. Under international law, we're totally the same as every country. And we have the Jewish survival argument, which you can't say about most countries. You can't say this, is that Israel needs to have its own country, because you've seen throughout the generations, Jewish people have been persecuted from being under the rule of other people. So, every country needs its own, every people needs its own country to take care of itself. But Israel is different in the fact that you see throughout history that it couldn't have survived under any. It's almost like you need a special miracle from God in order to survive under any other nation. If Americans were, moved to Australia, I'm not saying they should. Would we be? Well, how would we be treated? I think Americans would be treated fairly well. Americans went to South Africa. I think England. I think they'd be treated fairly well. Jewish people whatever country you are, there's a reason that we need Israel as for survival purposes. And the anti-Semitism is stark, is that you see that there's 190 countries, more than 190 countries throughout the world that acquire land through conquest or settlement. And the only country that's called out for it is Israel. No other country, you don't see people saying Indians give back America. You don't see that. It doesn't make it right, the fact that no one else, that's not happening anywhere. It just shows it's anti-Semitic. And then we have the claim that God gave it to us in the Bible. In the beginning, God created the world, and He promised Israel to the Jews. And that's the strongest claim to know for ourselves as Jewish people, and that is what we should be teaching to the next generation. And these are all the places that you see throughout the Torah, the Bible, where all the places that God promises Israel to the Jewish people. It's the first time God speaks to Abraham. He promises Israel to the Jewish people, the covenant between the parts, the promise to Isaac, the promise to Jacob, the burning bush. All these times, God promises Israel to the Jewish people. It's not one time. It's a lot of times throughout the Torah. And there's one more thing I want to show, which is very interesting, is that if you look at Israel on the map, it's actually the crossroads of civilization, at least of the old world. The old world consisted of 3 continents, basically. You have Europe, Asia, and then you have South Africa, and then you have Africa. There's only one way to get from Africa to Asia to Europe. There's only one way to get through all of here, and that is through Israel. There's no other land path. It's a crossroads of civilization. It's a key center area. It's a small piece of land, but there's no other way, at least in the old world, from west to east and north to south to go. You wouldn't be able to do it without crossing Israel. And the question is, why did God give a seemingly Jewish people, which is a holy nation, spiritual nation, a physical land that is so embedded in civilization, so embedded in community, so embedded in worldly things, if our whole focus is spiritual? In fact, Albert Einstein would say that giving Jewish people borders and an army is almost taking away from the spirituality from Judaism. You lose focus. So why is the reason that God gave Israel to the Jewish people? It seemingly takes away from the spirituality. The answer is that God is not just the God of the heavens. God is the God of the heavens and the earth. God wanted that Judaism should not be something spiritual, be something embedded in earth, that should be something embedded in civilization, embedded in humanity. And that's why it's important for Jewish people to have a land, not necessarily for all these reasons of safety, and all the reasons we said till now, which are true, but mainly because the spirituality part of Judaism needs to be embedded in the physical. It needs to be so true and so real that it can't stay spiritual. It has to be part of us humans as our day-to-day life. And that's why so many mitzvahs can only be performed in Israel, because spirituality, we want spiritual to connect to the physical. We want to elevate the physical. We don't want the physical to lose out on Judaism. So that's the reason why, the spiritual reason why we must have a physical land. And that is another point why you may find some anti-Semitism today, is because why should Jewish people have a land? You're spiritual. Why do you need a physical land? You're just trying to conquer, you're just trying to take. But it's part of, if you understand what Judaism is all about, if you understand the philosophy, all philosophy is we need to be involved in the land. We need to be involved in the physical because we want to elevate the world, the physical world, and make it a better place. And not our land as in we want to steal it from other people. Our land as in we want it to be a light upon the nations. From here should come out, from Israel should come out morality to the world, to show peace to the world, democracy. From Israel should come an example to the Middle East, which should lead to peace treaties. Not our land in a way of taking, but our land in a way of showing what Judaism is all about. So that is the message for tonight.
Wow. Thank you so much. These are really helpful. Thank you. And you'll remember to forward those links to me.